Carolyn Seepersad Bachan, who is Minister of Public Administration for Trinidad and Tobago. Carolyn, thank you very much for being with us today as well.
It's indeed a pleasure being here.
I'd like to start off by asking you, Bernadette, about the Caribbean Telecommunications Union, the CTU, and what it's all about and what it does.
Right. The Caribbean Telecommunications Union was established in 1989 by the heads of government of the Caribbean Community, or CARICOM. They recognized at that time that telecommunications would have a significant role to play in the development of the region, and consequently, they established the CTU primarily to be a policy organization to help in the development of telecommunications policies, and also to build public awareness and educate on the role that telecommunications could play in regional and in national development as well. But you'd recognize since that time, this is 1989, the whole world has changed as a result of the rapid evolution of technology and information and communication technologies in particular. They have now converged, and we now speak about ICTs. And in 2004, the CTU changed its mandate to embrace information and communication technology. So whereas we still maintain the name Caribbean Telecommunications Union, we are in fact an ICT organization dedicated to helping our member countries leverage the potential of ICTs for national social and economic development.
In terms of Trinidad and Tobago, I would like to find out from you, what are the particular challenges of the region, and what are you hoping to get from the Connect America Summit?
Well, you know, throughout the region, we are looking at connecting the Caribbean. It's very important that the Caribbean is connected if we are to ensure that we continue to survive in this global village. In addition, you know, most of the economies of the region, including Trinidad and Tobago, would like to diversify its economy. Trinidad and Tobago is relatively a very oil and gas based economy, and the rest of the region depends a lot on tourism. We see the whole idea of ICT, the enabling environment, to ensure that we can actually diversify those economies. And in addition to that, actually, you know, there's a lot of untapped potential, creativity. So being able to exploit and tap into that native genius of the people of the region.
And what do ICTs mean for the Caribbean community?
Well, as you may be aware, the Caribbean community is moving towards a single market and economy. And our vision is for a seamless Caribbean. And the tools that are available in information and communication technologies, it creates the opportunity for practical, functional integration, where our governments, our institutions, our citizens can be connected and have the opportunity to exchange information instantaneously. And I think that is powerful. Whereas attempts at such an integration in the past, maybe 40 years ago, when we were looking towards a federation, they would have failed. We have tools available to us now in information and communication technologies that can really enable us to realize that goal of a single Caribbean space. So it's very important to our governments.
Are there any particular projects that you're focusing on at the moment in Trinidad and Tobago?
Well, in particular, the broadband. You know, Trinidad and Tobago is connected like some of the other Caribbean territories. But what has happened is that our broadband right now is concentrated in only certain parts of the country. It is the government's intention, the objective, that we get broadband access throughout Trinidad and Tobago, that there be 100% coverage, and that broadband access becomes a basic right. As a result of that, we have started on a national broadband strategy and plan. It involves the updating of our legislative and regulatory framework so that we can ensure that the investment climate is one that will facilitate equitable and fair treatment of all investors. We are looking at the rollout of broadband. We are looking at the use of Universal Service Fund to ensure that we can actually fund or subsidize some of those underserved rural areas which may not be economically viable. We are also looking at a number of government services, e-government services, so that we can actually increase the uptake. By doing so, if government initiates this project, what will happen is the citizens themselves and the rest of the community, the private sector, would be able to access broadband and actually use broadband so that we will get increased usage of broadband capacity.
One of ITU's major campaigns is for girls, involving girls in ICTs. I wondered what your take on it is within the region.
Well, I think the reverse holds in the Caribbean. You find that women are taking the lead, right? So when you know the rest of the world may be talking about gender issues and empowering women, that is the reverse. I think about 80% of the graduates from the University of the West Indies are women, right? So, but we're always there to encourage all of us. But I think more so, I think we need to reach out to the boys in the Caribbean, because they're the ones that I believe are at risk. I don't know if this is the experience, certainly, of the minister in Trinidad, but the girls are really blazing a trail in the region.
And in terms of the future of communications within the region, are you optimistic for the future? Do you think it's a rosy picture for communications in Trinidad?
Yes, I think it is. Through the CTU, we have had several meetings. And in fact, you know, we have put out a brochure for this particular conference, which identifies all of the various projects. We have projects in broadband for the region, not only Trinidad and Tobago. We have projects for emergency communication, building human capacity in the field of ICT, making sure that ICT becomes that enabling environment. So yes, it is quite a bright future, I think, for the region. You know, we are getting a number of interests expressed for the region, and we want to be able to exploit a lot of the synergies and symbiotic relationships between the various projects within the region so that we can actually enhance the return on investment.
Bernadette, the final word from you in terms of the Connect America Summit. What do you hope to see come from this summit? What would you like to see the messages and the actions coming from this?
Well, we'd certainly like to see marriages of projects and investors. And I'd like to see that in the Caribbean, we have stable democracies, we have very high levels of literacy, and we have governments who are committed to ICT-enabled development. So I think just that, and of course regulatory, we have the open, transparent regulatory institutions and so on. So it is an ideal place for investment, but at the end of the day, I'd like to say it's all about partnership. We cannot exist on our own, and it's no longer a question of governments doing things on their own. I think the world has changed such that, and we recognize the importance of public-private partnerships. And I think this is one thing, I think the summit creates a wonderful opportunity for getting these sort of public-private partnerships going.
Bernadette Lewis, Carolyn Seepersad, Bachan, thank you very much indeed for being with us today.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's been a joy.